With the new Premier League season just around the corner, everyone's making their predictions for how they think the season's going to end up. And so I thought I would do the very same with my Premier League predictions for the 2017-18 season. In 20th we have Huddersfield Town. Yes, it's the whole new boys coming into the league, and of course they're going to get relegated because of their first season. But no, I genuinely think that Huddersfield's squad is nowhere near deep enough to compete at this level, despite the addition of Aaron Moy on a permanent, who really impressed last season in the Championship. They just don't have the strength and depth in their team, and they don't have the quality in their team to compete, and I'm afraid Huddersfield Town fans, you're going to finish bottom of the league. Once again, I'm following the trend of the new boys who can't hack it in the higher tier, and it's going to be Brighton and Hove Albion I have sitting in 19th position. Now, I think they've done better business than Huddersfield. I think they've done more productive business. They've really strengthened their squad. They've strengthened the core of the squad with Pascal Gross's signing, and Davy Proper for about £10 million is an absolute steal from PSV. But I don't think that's going to be enough to keep them in the league for more than one season, to be honest. The likes of Glenn Murray, he can score goals in the Championship. Can he really hack it in the Premier League? He showed with Crystal Palace that he's a useful enough squad player, but to have as your starting main man, I'm not entirely sure. So Brighton, I'm afraid, I think you'll play fantastic football, and I really like Brighton as a side, and I hope they do a lot better than I predicted, but I'm afraid 19th. And the final relegation spot I have is going to Burnley. Yes, Burnley. The fact that they've been able to stay in the Premier League this long with what they have, with the quality of their squad, is a testament to their team spirit and to their manager Sean Dyche. But with their performances last season, yes, at home, absolutely unbelievable. But away, you need to get some points away, and they've got what they got, maybe 1 or 2, 3 maybe last season. Like, it was a ridiculously low amount, and that's just not good enough. And their squad, they did well to get Charlie Taylor. There's apparently a lot of interest in him, and he chose Burnley. So it's I guess a coup on Burnley's part that they have the pull to bring in a player that is attracted many clubs. But they've let George Board go, who I don't really rate, to be honest, as a player, but he's a Premier League proven player, and they let him go for nothing. And the additions that they've made this season, they are not really doing it for me. Burnley, I think time has run out on your Premier League adventure. You're finishing 18th. The team I have finishing 17th, just above the relegation zone, is Watford. It doesn't matter how big your squad is, it matters how good that squad of players is, and Watford is not good enough in my opinion. Troy Deeney is your main man. Is he going to get you 20 goals a season? Highly unlikely. Although they've brought in guys like Will Hughes, who's a touted been a Premier League player for God knows how long, and it's good to see him finally get his opportunity to see what he can actually do. They've brought in Nathaniel Chalobah, who is a very, very canny signing for a team like Watford, but they've let go the likes of Mario Suarez, and with a team like Watford you need as much as you can. It doesn't matter about numbers, it matters how good those numbers are in Watford. They need to if they can bring in 1 or 2 more, they may do a lot better than what I predicted with 17th. But as it stands right now, 17th is as good as it's going to get for Watford. In 16th, I have Swansea City. I think that Paul Clement has the opportunity to do something with Swansea, but I don't think this will be his season. I think he's still got a crowd of players from last season that aren't really his players. But with the likes of he brought in Tamir Abraham, which is a fantastic piece of business for Swansea. He will score you goals, no doubt about it at all. And with the likes of Fernando Llorente, who managed to get into about 15, 16 goals last season, and that's in that Swansea team, which was performing so abysmally, that's a very tasty strike partnership. They've also brought in the likes of Roque Mesa from Las Palmas for £11 million. Despite that, Swansea have let go a ton of players. They've let go Jordi Amat on loan, Borja Baston's gone on loan, Bafa Gomez has been he's been sold. Lads who could have done a job in that Swansea squad, especially across 3 competitions: the FA Cup, Premier League, and in the League Cup. You need as many players as you can get, and Swansea's squad at the minute is looking a little bit thin with the amount that they've let go. But there's still time, and I think Paul Clement he'll struggle. I think Swansea will struggle this season, but Paul Clement he'll keep them in the league. No doubt he'll keep them in the league. In 15th position we have AFC Bournemouth. Yes, I think that Bournemouth will survive this season quite relatively comfortably. With the players they've brought in, they've brought in some absolutely fantastic additions to their squad when they really needed that extra boost of Premier League given quality. And Asmir Begovic, that's a huge upgrade on the likes of Boric and Federici that they already had. Jermaine Defoe, who will score goals, I don't doubt that at all. It's just I don't personally really rate him that highly as a player, but there's no doubt he'll score goals. And on the Bournemouth side, it's got Josh King and Jordan Ibe on the wings. Even though Jordan Ibe really flopped last season, I think that the kid has the talent necessary to make it in the league. And with those front three, I think that you've got a pretty devastating attack. And the players that Bournemouth have let go out on loan, like Lewis Graben and Ryan Alsop, they're not going to miss them, not at all. I think Bournemouth will finish comfortably in 15th position. In 14th is Crystal Palace. New manager Frank de Boer is he's immediately trying to get this squad around to be something reminiscent of what he wants. He's only brought in 2 players, Jairo Riedwald, which is a fantastic piece of business, the Ajax centre back, and also Ruben Loftus-Cheek. He's shown over the years that he has the talent and the ability to play at this level. And it'll be nice to actually see him get some proper game time and to see what he can do over a 38-game season. As regards to outgoings, Palace have only let Steve Mandanda go, which is, if you said this time last season that they were letting him go, then you think that's a massive loss, but to be honest, he never really settled in. And although he is better than Wayne Hennessy in my opinion, I don't think it's that big of a problem for Palace. I think that they'll finish 14th and De Boer will consolidate and work towards next season. In 13th we have Stoke. Now, Stoke, every time you look at the league table you go, oh, how did Stoke have this many points? How are they this comfortable? Because it seems like Stoke just lose every week or they just draw, but no, Stoke will be more than comfortable, I think. Despite letting go of their main man Marko Arnautovic to West Ham, I think there's more than enough talent in that side. You've got Bojan coming back, and they've just signed Eric Choupo-Moting as a direct replacement for Arnautovic. And bringing in Premier League experience like Darren Fletcher, I think that's a very good thing for Stoke, as well as bringing in Kurt Zouma from Chelsea. That's a fantastic piece of business from Stoke. And I'm amazed that Chelsea have let him go on loan for a season. Maybe it'll do Zouma the world of good to get some game time. And with Bruno Martins Indy possibly coming back on a permanent deal, those 2 in the centre defence, that's going to be an absolute rock for Stoke. In regards to outgoings, Stoke have trimmed a lot of the fat from their squad. Despite Arnautovic going, they've let Glenn Whelan go, who's competent, but he's unspectacular. They've let Phil Bardsley go, again, same with him. And then the rest of it is just a load of youth players and a load of players who are never going to get played anyway, like the likes of Daniel Bachmann. He's not going to get played, is he? He's away to Watford to sit on their bench. But Stoke, I think, comfortable, and they'll do that thing where they just keep getting more points and you don't know where they've come from. In 12th, I think it will be Newcastle United, back in the Premier League, where arguably they should have been all along, but it shows that no side is big enough to go down whenever the players that you have aren't willing to play for you. But with Rafa Benitez back in the Premier League, and he's had a season last year to bring in the players that he wants, and a transfer window now to bring in his style of player, like Mikel Merino from Borussia Dortmund. That's a fantastic piece of business to shore up that midfield. Then you have the likes of Lejeune from Eibar, I probably butchered his name. He's been pulling up trees in Spain. Christian Atsu on a permanent deal. He was fantastic last season, and I'm amazed that Benitez didn't play him as often as he should have, because Johan Gouffran apparently had to play, and that's just a staggering decision. If you want to talk about trimming the fat of a squad, Newcastle have absolutely done that this season. Haris Vukic, he never lived up to his potential, he's out the door. Johan Gouffran, who I'm certain that every Newcastle United fan is delighted to see leave, that man has been stealing a living. Vernon Anita, who I wouldn't have mind staying, he's a very versatile player, he can play anywhere, that's what makes him such a valuable asset. As a squad player, you always need bodies in that over a long season. Florian Thauvin going back to Marseille, good gracious Marseille. Can't believe you've actually taken him back, that's staggering. Matt Sells going back out on loan, he's away to Anderlecht, that's fine, he's not going to be missed at all. And then the rest of that Newcastle squad, they've gotten rid of a lot of their youth players who, never really going to play anyway. So Newcastle, I think, their squad was good enough to compete in the Premier League without these additions, but with adding these players, I think a solid mid-table finish is what a lot of Newcastle fans would take, and I think it's exactly what they're going to get in 12th place. In 11th, West Ham United. Yes, I think that with the addition of Javier Hernandez, he will score goals, and that is what West Ham desperately needed last season. Hernandez, he's not going to be, he's not going to be running in behind with the pace. He likes the ball played to him in the box, so he can just knock it in the back of the net. And that's if you're a West Ham fan, goals win games, and they will happily take them any way they want, I imagine. Getting Joe Hart in on loan, I think it's a very good commercial move. I don't think Joe Hart is as good as he thinks he is. That's who am I to sit here and criticise a professional footballer, but I think that the hype around Joe Hart has died down a lot since his loan spell at Torino last season, where he really flattered to deceive. Then you bring in Marko Arnautovic, who on his day can be a game changer, but it's just whenever he can be bothered, to be honest. And then you have Pablo Zabaleta providing that cover right back. I think that's a great signing. I think he's incredible. He's a solid player, and he's Premier League experienced, and he can even play in a defensive midfield role if needs be. In regards to outgoing at the London Stadium, my God, that's a whole squad essentially. There's a lot of youth and reserve team players have gone. A lot of players' loans have expired, like Kayeri and Gokantor, who, where were they all season? Absolutely bloody nowhere. They have sold Ener Valencia on a permanent deal to Tigres for around about £5 million, which is fine. He was a bit of a fraud, in my opinion. That's the whole thing. You never sign anyone who has a good tournament, and after the World Cup, the last time got him in, and he had a fine start, but he fell off dramatically after that. They did let Darren Randolph go, which is a surprise to me, for £5 million to Middlesbrough. I think Darren Randolph had a lot to offer. I think him and Adrian are quite similar in regards to their ability and who can fill in. They can just slot in for each other. They're quite interchangeable, and you won't get much of a performance drop off. But then with Joe Hart coming in, do they really need 3 goalkeepers? And it seems that Darren Randolph was the man who was sacrificed. And by the way, to get £6.5 million for Ashley Fletcher, well done West Ham. You've done a fantastic thing there. Middlesbrough, what? £6.5 million? Are you mental? In 10th position, smack bang in mid-table, I have Leicester City. I just feel that the time has run out. The clock has struck 12 on their fairy tale rise, and now they're going to have to settle back to where they really probably should have been all along, in mid-table obscurity. With the signings of Vicente Iborra, which nobody really saw coming, and Harry Maguire, they've really shored up the spine of their team, but it's up front that they have made a massive, massive upgrade to what they have with the signing of Kelechi Iheanacho for a snip at £25 million. I think he's a huge upgrade on Jamie Vardy. I think he's a huge upgrade on Leonardo Rajoa. I think he's a huge upgrade on Okazaki, which is a shame, because I really like Okazaki. I think he really works hard, but he's not going to score you 20 goals a season, and Iheanacho is more than capable of that. £25 million. I cannot believe that no bigger sides came in for him. That is an absolute bargain. No major outgoings at Leicester, just Ron Robert-Zieler, the backup goalkeeper to Stuttgart, and Bartosz Kapustka, who's gone out on loan to Freiburg in the Bundesliga. I'm really going to miss an awful lot there. But Leicester, I think that 10th place is more than generous for you. In 9th place is a little bit of a weird one. I have West Bromwich Albion. Now, earlier on when I said about Stoke, when you look at the league table and you go, how did they get this many points? I don't understand. West Brom are the absolute epitome of that. You think that they've lost every game every week, and you look and they've won about 10 or 11 games, and you're like, how has this happened? I don't understand. When did this happen? With Tony Pulis, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a rigid style of play. It's going to be rough and ready, and you're going to have to know what to expect. And he's not going to get a team relegated, is he? But I think they really overperformed last season, and I think if with that, they've managed to keep that strong core of players, because they don't have a massive squad, West Brom, but everyone managed to stay fit for a reasonable length of time, and they all work quite well together. They all know the Tony Pulis style. I think that will contribute to their success for next season. They've also brought in Jay Rodriguez, who can fit into that style as well. He's that kind of player, he'll work really, really hard, and he's capable of scoring the spectacular, as he's proved in the pre-season tournaments. If he can stay fit, that's a fantastic piece of business for West Bromwich Albion. But apart from that, there's been really no other major incomings. They've obviously let Darren Fletcher go, and Sebastian Pocognoli he's gone somewhere. But they've managed. They will miss the influence of Fletcher, absolutely they will. But with that tight-knit core of players who know how to play that style, I think they're going to overachieve again, and I'm going to go for 9th for West Brom. We move into the top 8 now, and this is where it gets a little more difficult to predict where these teams are going to come. But I have in 8th place, I have Southampton. The biggest news story about Southampton, obviously, this season would be the sacking of their manager Claude Puel and replacing him with Maurizio Pellegrino. My God, that's difficult to say whenever there's a guy with an incredibly similar name to him in the same league. Only 2 incomings at St Mary's thus far. Bednarek, I think is how you pronounce it. I probably butchered it, from Lech Poznan. He's a young Polish centre-back. But they have managed to get in Mario Lemina from Juventus for a reported fee of rising to £20 million. I think it's a 15 million initial fee rising to 20 million. What a piece of business that is for Southampton, managing to get one of Europe's brightest young stars from one of the biggest clubs in Europe for that amount of money, and he can absolutely run that midfield. He can boss it, he can work as a playmaker, and he's not afraid to do the dirty work back as well. That's a fantastic acquisition for an aging Southampton midfield. With the likes of Stephen Davis in there, he's going to be, I feel, pushed out, with Lamina being pulled into the fold. No major first team outgoings at Southampton apart from Jay Rodriguez, and you could say Cuco Martina if he counted as a first teamer. So they've managed to keep a strong amount of their players from the last season, like the strong squad of players. They managed to get to the EFL Cup final, of course, and they were, in my opinion, robbed. But they have a good chance of finishing high up this season. It just keeps getting harder the further up the table you go. So 7th place, I have put Everton. Yes, the free spending Everton. Now, they've let go of their biggest asset that they have for £75 million in Romelu Lukaku. Guaranteed goals, guaranteed to boss defences, and they've lost that element now. And who've they replaced him with? Wayne Rooney. Yes, they've put Wayne Rooney, they brought him back on a free transfer, which is fine. It is absolutely fine. I think Rooney still has a bit more to offer than people give him credit for. But they've also not been afraid to splash the cash this season with the likes of Davy Klaassen brought in. That's a phenomenal acquisition. He will boss that midfield. He can work as a playmaker, deep line playmaker, advanced playmaker. He can play in an attacking role. He can sit deep. He's incredibly versatile. And he's still only, what, 23, if that? Jordan Pickford as well, they've brought in for £30 million. That is an eye-watering fee. Sunderland fans must take some of the sting out of their abysmal season and losing their best player, arguably. £30 million for the young lad. It's just the way the market is these days. It's not going to be more than. They've paid over the odds, in my opinion. But it's just a player is valued at what a club is willing to pay for him, and they value him at £30 million. So. Fair enough. He's an absolute upgrade on Stecklenburg and Robles. Robles I do not rate at all, and Stecklenburg is a backup at best. They've also brought in Henry Onyekuru. I'll get there eventually. They've immediately sent him out on loan. He'll come back next season, which is a very shrewd bit of business. He has been highly touted. Of course, he was linked with Arsenal earlier on in the window, and he's gone to Everton, but he's gone out on loan. So it'll be interesting to see how he does when he comes back, with one of the top prospects in Europe choosing Everton over Arsenal. It's a bit worrying for Gunners fans, you'd have to say. They've also brought in Michael Keane from Burnley, robbing a Premier League rival of their best player and their brightest spark and their prized asset for their own side. They've taken that away from Burnley, which is another reason why I think that Burnley are going to struggle this season, because they haven't replaced him at all. And they've also brought in Sandro Ramirez from Malaga for a pittance of around £6.5 million, I think was his release clause. He seems to be the real find in this transfer window as far as Everton are concerned. They're putting a lot of stock in him to replace Romelu Lukaku. I think he's capable. He will not. He's a completely different type of player from Lukaku, but I don't know. I don't know if he can make it into double figures for his first season, I think he'll be happy. But he's not a replacement for Romelu Lukaku, not at all. But I think Everton's squad, they've built a very strong squad with the amount of money that they spent, and I think 7th position is going to be as good as it's going to get for Everton. Because remember, I have to take time for these signings to gel, and I think it'll take more than one season for that amount of new players to come in, and that amount of egos, it has to be said, to come in and gel. In 6th place, yes, I have Manchester United. Now, before half of the internet gets really angry, let me try and rationalise this in some way. United struggled in the league last season. That was no secret. They just couldn't get it together. Although they went on that massive unbeaten run, but there's about 120-300 draws in that run. So yeah, I'll take it with a pinch of salt. They have gained Romelu Lukaku, though, as we said, from Everton. That is a huge weight off the shoulders of their other attacking options, with Zlatan Ibrahimovic obviously going. Lukaku comes in and fills that role. They also brought in Victor Lindelof at centre-back, which kind of baffled me a bit, because United, there's one place that they're kind of stacked. It's in that central defensive role, but then again, the amount of injuries they had last season, I suppose to have a bit of cover in is not a terrible idea. Also, Nemanja Matic has come in. Now this is a game changer. He's brought in from Chelsea. Huge fee, hugely. I feel that they've overpaid, but you're obviously going to overpay whenever you're getting from a Premier League rival, especially when it's Chelsea going to Manchester United. £40 million reported. That's huge. That's huge. Obviously for Manchester United last season in the league where they finished, they would obviously say that's disappointing. But they proved that they focused more on Europe last season. I think that's going to have an effect on their league standing, as it did last season, because being in the Europa League obviously affected their league performance. So I think that's going to happen again. I think they'll prioritise the Champions League this season because they've struggled so much to get back into that term. That's what they wanted to get back into. So I think their league form is going to suffer, at least for this season, and they're going to finish in 6th. Now, the top 5. This was very difficult. But I think in 5th position this season will be last year's champions, Chelsea. Yes, I do. Because they don't have a first team squad, essentially. I think at last count, in regards to proper first team players, it's about 15 they have. Like, it's proper Premier League first team players. And that's with the signings of Alvaro Morata, which I think is an unbelievable signing for what they've managed to get him for. £60 million for Alvaro Morata. He scored 20 goals last season and he barely played. That's a fantastic piece of business for Chelsea in regards to getting him, because it looks like Diego Costa's out the door. He's going to be a direct replacement for him. Tiémoué Bakayoko, of course, from Monaco, another brilliant piece of business from Chelsea to get him in. Put him alongside N'Golo Kante, and you have a defence or a midfield that will just absolutely overrun you. It will with those two lads. They will just Kante to sit, Bakayoko to go forward. Kante, you know what you get from him, so you allow Bakayoko that bit more freedom to go and create himself and be expressive and set up play from the midfield going forward. Of course, the signing of Willy Caballero to replace the outgoing Asmir Begovic. He's a backup, and that's all he is. And finally, they've signed Antonio Rudiger, which again, Chelsea, I don't understand why you're going for centre backs whenever you have the likes of Kurt Zouma and Andreas Christensen sitting on your bench. But alright, that's fine. There's no doubt you get that he's a fantastic player and that he'll absolutely do a more than adequate job. But it just worries me that Chelsea are bringing in so many new players whenever they have so many more in their academy and their reserves who are capable of playing at that level. Christensen showed it last season. He's capable in Mönchengladbach. I don't understand why. Speaking of outgoings at Chelsea, my word, that's a whole Premier League team that they've just got rid of. Dominic Solanke's gone to Liverpool. I think that's a big mistake on Chelsea's part. He's shown in that international tournament during the World Cup during the summer that he can score goals. He scores goals in pre-season for Liverpool. I think he is a prodigious talent. There's the word. I know how words work. They've also, of course, let Nathan Ake go, which is again another central defender who was more than capable of filling in that role that John Terry has made since he's left. Let Begovic go, let Tammy Abraham go, and then a slew of other players. You all know the situation at Chelsea with the amount of players they let out on loan. The squad isn't big enough, and that's just the way it is, especially with multiple fronts to be competing on. Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, EFL Cup. It's just not going to happen, Chelsea. Into the top 4 now. This will not take long with who I have in 4th. It's Tottenham. They have signed no one. Absolutely bloody no one. What are you doing, Tottenham? Yes, your squad is unbelievable. You have possibly the best overall squad in the entire league, but if you don't add to it, you're not going to win any championships. Before they sold Kyle Walker for 50 million quid, which is mental, I would have said that Tottenham's squad was the best in the league in regards to strength and depth. And now that Kyle Walker's gone, Kieran Trippier is going to have to, unless they bring in someone else, Kieran Trippier, who he's fine, he's an adequate right back if you have someone better than him, obviously, to start. Like, there's nothing wrong with Kieran Trippier. I think he's a very good player, but it's just Kyle Walker with that pace will get you out of any situation, and Kyle Walker had that to burn on the overlap, getting balls in. That's invaluable in the modern, especially with the role of the modern day fullback. They've also let Federico Fazio go, who really impressed last season at Roma. And then Clinton and G is gone he's on way to Marseille permanently, and then there's just a couple of youth team players. But Tottenham, buy somebody, or you're going to finish 4th, or you might not even scrape that. But I think with the talented squad that you have Harry Kane who's going to score goals, Christian Eriksen who's going to score goals and assist goals, Heung-min Son who's going to score goals. I hold hope in Vincent Janssen that he's going to come good this season. I think Vincent Janssen, I think he'll do well. I hope so, because I feel so bad for him. In 3rd place, top 3 now, I have Arsenal. Yes, the Gunners. Arsene Wenger signed a new 2-year deal. Make of that what you will. You can argue about that wherever it is that Arsenal fans are everywhere. They have a huge online presence, especially on Twitter. I am personally happy that he's staying as a neutral. I think that he deserves to go on his own terms. I think that he has earned that with the amount that he's done for that club. Also, the fact that he's spent money on a player, madness from Arsene Wenger. £50 million on Alexandre Lacazette. That is a game changer as far as I'm concerned. Yes, it's maybe a few seasons too late to bring him in, because he was at his absolute peak a few seasons ago. That's not to say that he's not going to score you goals. He has 20 goal seasons bloody every year. Admittedly, there's a huge gulf in class between the French League and the Premier League, but I think Lacazette has all the tools necessary to be a top Premier League striker. I think he's an upgrade on Olivier Giroud, who I think he was a great forward to start with. I think that Giroud gets a lot of flack that he doesn't deserve, but I think Lacazette is even better than him. He's everything that Giroud, to an extent, isn't really. He's pacey, he can shoot from anywhere, he can run the channels, you can get him behind. Giroud's not really that sort of player, but you have those two as an option, and I think that together they will score goals. And of course, if Ozil and Sanchez stay, even better for Arsenal fans. They've also brought in Sead Kolasinac on a free transfer from Schalke. Brilliant piece of business from Arsene Wenger. He's such a versatile player, and he is incredible. He's an incredibly composed figure on the ball. Play at left back, play left wing back. He can even play on the left hand side of midfield, or he can play on the left hand side of that central defensive or a central role. So he's hugely versatile. He's hugely talented. He's an upgrade on that Jamon Real and Kieran Gibbs. He's a guaranteed starter. This is what you want to see from a team like Arsenal. You want to see them not just settle. You want to see them upgrade their team. And I think that's what they've started on this season. If they can keep going in this way up to the end of the transfer window, I think Arsenal will really challenge at the top of the season. But I think 3rd, as it stands, is as good as it's going to get for Arsenal this year. Now the top 2. Who is going to finish in 2nd? I think it's going to be Liverpool. Yes, I do. I think that Liverpool this season, I know they say it every season is going to be their season, but I think this season, with the additions they've made, with Mohamed Salah, who is just brilliant. He's a fantastic player, and Chelsea not giving him a chance when he was at Stamford Bridge was criminal. The performances he's put in for Roma over the past few seasons, phenomenal. He's an absolute phenomenon. He's an assist machine, and he will chip in with the odd goal every now and again. That is a superb addition to that side, to an already formidable forward options that Jurgen Klopp has with the likes of Firmino and Coutinho. Whether he'll stay or not will be a massive argument as to whether they will actually finish as well as I predicted. Daniel Sturridge, when fit, I think there's a lot of hot air about Daniel Sturridge personally, but if he can stay fit, there's no doubt that he will chip in with the odd goal every now and again. Liverpool have the potential they will score goals, there's no doubt about it, but they will also concede goals as they showed last season, and that's just the way that, with Klopp's style, that's just the way that they work. But I can't understate how big of a statement Mohamed Salah will be for that side. Also bringing in Dominic Solanke from Chelsea, I've already discussed him, and Andrew Robertson from Hull last season, who's he's more than he's a competent left back. I think he'll develop into a decent Premier League player. But I think Liverpool, with the amount of attacking talent they have on display, I think that 2nd, they're just going to miss out on the title this season. Which, of course, leaves only one team, and yes, I think Manchester City are going to regain the Premier League title this season. Now, Pep Guardiola, personally, and I'm going to get a lot of slack, I don't really rate that highly because we don't know how good he is. Because if I was managing those Bayern Munich and those Barcelona teams he had, I probably could have won at least a Champions League or two. And then he went to Manchester City, and it was hard for him last season. It was a struggle. But I think now that he's learned from that, and now he can adapt to what he has, and he's now added with the likes of Bernardo Silva, fantastic signing, Ederson, world's most expensive goalkeeper. Whether he will be able to carry that burden on his shoulders and flourish, who knows? But with 17 clean sheets, I think, last season in 27 games, it's a good start. Like, you can't argue that that's impressive. Also bringing in the likes of Kyle Walker for £50 million, Benjamin Mendy, the world's most expensive defender now, to fill those and Danilo, of course, as well, to fill in those fullback roles after the players they let go last season, with the likes of Zabaleta, Sanya, Clichy, all gone. All the deadwood's gone, replaced with new, shiny, young fullbacks who know how to play the modern game. They know the attributes required, and they can do it. They can absolutely do it. Mendy, Danilo, and Kyle Walker, a huge upgrade on what they had last season, as well as Bernardo Silva. And then you've obviously, look who they have. They have David Silva, Sergio Aguero, Kevin De Bruyne. It boggles the mind, the attacking talent they have. Gabriel Jesus, which means that they could even afford to let Iheanacho go, even though I think it's for any other team it would be a huge mistake to let someone like that go. But with the attacking options they have, absolutely, City won't miss him as much as Leicester will have needed him. And I think that Manchester City will not run away with the title this year. I think it'll be a close run thing between even the top three, with Arsenal falling off towards the end because they're Arsenal. So I think it will be a lot closer than people would have thought and given it credit for. But I think Manchester City are going to win the Premier League this season. So those are my predictions for this season's Premier League table. What are yours going to be? That's the joys of predictions. No one knows, so there's no right or wrong answer. So feel free to let me know what yours would be in the comment section below. Let me know how you think that I'm going to do, because I'm going to come back to this video at the end of the season and have a look and see how well I actually did. Be sure to let me know what yours Premier League table would look like, and if you did enjoy this video, be sure to like, share and subscribe.